Hey everybody, thanks for joining me for another edition of Electric Avenue's YouTube updates. I am your host. I'm here to show you what new releases have come into the store this week. I am doing the new releases for, what is it, December 8th, 2023? We're already up to December 8th. 18 days till Christmas? Oh my gosh. You better get shopping quick. Okay. So, yeah, not as many things this week, so this video will be somewhat briefer. But hey, whoever said that I couldn't fill up time if I wasn't even trying? One thing to mention, you might see over here, we're getting some new t-shirts in finally. These t-shirts were supposed to be in back in, well, we were planning on doing it back in April when Record Store Day happened, since that was our actual 10th anniversary. And it's been our 10th anniversary all year. And we couldn't even get it together for Black Friday, numerous problems. But anyway, it's finally happening. So by the end of 2023, I was like, mark my words, I'll get some new t shirts made. They have the date established 2013 on them. So at least people will know that they were part of the 10th anniversary run of the store. So limited edition. We have that sort of classic kind of look, which is a little bit modified from the original, and then we'll have another T-shirt I'll show you shortly. Okay, so and you're like, how do I get those? We don't sell them online. Everything that we could possibly do, well, we probably do backwards, and some of it, I suppose, is like old school. And I guess I never really talk about this too much, but people are like, hey, why don't you like have like I mean, we have a Discogs page. We sell all of the new stuff there, most of it. But people are like, well, why don't you have your own like website that you can sell on? Like, we just have an old website at this point that just basically functions as an introduction. And I think a lot of it actually was as the pandemic sort of happened, we had plans to do all of this, and then it became really too much because the store was so busy, and it was slowly chipping away at my being, and it was just too much. So we had to kind of like pull back and say, like, maybe later. So it's still in the works. It probably will happen in the next year or so, I'm guessing. Don't hold me to that because years go by quickly. But anyway, and one other note too, thanks to all the well wishers about our cat. She actually was released from the hospital last weekend, and she is, I would call her stabilized, but she sort of needs round the clock medical care, and is there's a lot going into that because she's diabetic and she was going into heart failure, and she's 9, which I maybe mentioned that. Anyway, there's a lot of monitoring of all of her levels, and she needs to get medicine in her food, which means since she's diabetic, she has to be in a certain range of blood sugars, and if she goes above or below that, then she doesn't want to eat because she's not feeling well, and then we can't get her to take the medicine. So we've kind of narrowed that down. That's been good. um, Now at least we know what's going on. She's wearing one of those little discs, and we're like checking her with our phone all the time to see what her blood sugar is. We don't want to have to give her 3 big shots a day on top of the 2 insulin ones. That would just, you start going like, what's the quality of life for, the poor animal? So she's a sweetie. Anyway, if you go on like our pages, Facebook, I talk about it a little bit more. But okay, new releases. I've wasted almost 5 minutes already. Sorry. First, Neil Young. Neil Young with his 13th release this year. I don't know. Somebody said that, and I was like, are they joking or is that real? It's probably real. This is Before and After, which is actually, I love how the artwork sort of mimics the After the Gold Rush album with the writing up there. But this is a new solo acoustic album. Solo acoustic. Songs from my life, recently recorded, create a musical montage with no beginnings or endings. Limited edition clear vinyl. So produced by Lou Adler and Neil Young, and features I'm the Ocean, Home Fires Burned on the Way Home, If You Got Love, A Dream That Can Last, Birds, My Heart, When I Hold You in My Arms, Mother Earth, Mr. Soul, Comes a Time, and Don't Forget Love. So a lot of these songs are songs from throughout his career. In many cases, they're not necessarily like the most famous songs, which is why it's kind of a cool project. Let's see. Another new release, which is kind of not really new stuff, but it's the new Killer's Greatest Hits album. This is called Rebel Diamonds. I don't know why. I think Universal must be crazy. They're asking like what, 50 some dollars for this double record. Granted, it has a lot of hit songs on it. They already had a greatest hits album. I'm assuming this will replace that because now this is greatest hits of 20 years. It does feature the new song Your Side of Town that they've been playing a lot. And this has songs from the early greatest hits and then stuff from the last 10 years too. So it's a little more comprehensive, I suppose, than the first greatest hits. But it's that time of year, you know, and Universal's greedy and they're going to cash in. I feel bad for the Killers because I don't know if maybe they have control over that, but that just seems really high. Car Seat Headrest, and this is a live record, Faces from the Masquerade, recorded over 3 sold-out nights at Brooklyn Steel, March 21st to 29th to 31st of 2022. Pretty long track list there, and this looks like it's more value for your money. All right, this I have to mention because I'm really excited that these are coming out. Like, I was really pushing for these for a long time, and I finally had to break down a couple years ago and get some of these online. I had a friend first give me one of these, and then I went in search of the others online. And I'm so excited that they're finally coming out regular for the masses, as they should have originally, but they were Vinyl Me Please only. But I can't believe I'm actually holding Fiona Apple's Tidal being released in a mass release version in my hands, in my shop. This is her debut album, one of the biggest albums of the 90s as far as a debut, and one of the best albums of the 90s. I went back and listened to it recently, and I'm like, this is so much better even than I realized that it was at the time, and I loved it at the time. Saw her on this tour before she sort of got in the huge stage fright sort of era, but I've loved every album since. This is remastered from the original analog tapes, 180 gram, 45 RPM, audiophile pressing, 12-page lyric book, and it's a 4-sided record. So yes, some sides have fewer songs, but when the songs are pushing 6 minutes long, you know, it's not quite as much of a thing to turn it over. And I don't know, the Vinyl Me Please one sounded great. I'm assuming that this is sort of similar, or at least maybe a similar pressing or cut. I don't know for sure though, because it doesn't really say. But audiophile pressing. Now, the excitement over Fiona Apple, because I absolutely loved Fetch the Bolt Cutters during lockdown. You all heard me who were watching this talk about that album over and over, and it was like one of my favorite albums that year. We are getting all the riches this week. Fiona Apple's second album, When the Pawn, with a much longer title. This is her second album, which I think is every bit as good as the first. I won't say it's better. It probably is a little better, but it's amazing. The stuff she does with the tempos, the pianos, and the band, it's, you know, it's almost like I listen to this and I go, she really kind of comes at this as sort of almost like a a jazz rock sort of aspect. And I think people who kind of like, maybe they don't realize just how talented Fiona Apple is. When you hear like the piano and her band on this, it's like, wow, she plays in a lot of kind of different. I mean, she's not. It's funny. I'm getting all tongue twisted over her, but you know, I kind of like would liken her in some ways to like this generation's like kind of. Mm, I don't know. I don't want to like oversell it, but I do think that she's like, the kind of artist that Nina Simone inspired. And, maybe she's not on that level of like, social justice and stuff like that. But certain voice that she has and a certain way she plays the piano. And kind of as a pianist myself, I kind of feel like that coming from her a little bit. Um, Her third album, which is really great, Extraordinary Machine. Those of you that remember when this came out, it had two different mixes at the time. There was the original sort of John Bryan mix, and then the record label didn't seem to like that one too much, so they went back and they got Mike Elizondo to redo most of it. And in some cases, it was mildly changed, and in others, it was a sort of significant change. But I think the John Bryan one still floats around as sort of a bootleggy type thing. But I don't know. I've never seen it on vinyl, but there probably are bootlegs of it. But anyway, so as great as this album is, When the Pawn, this album is pretty close. I mean, these are all, it's like increments of like greatness, it's just a really unique singer songwriter. I don't think there's anybody that sounds really close to her. And I mean, there were a lot of great female singer songwriter pianists, and in the 90s, I think of Tori Amos and Paula Cole, and there were a bunch. But Fiona really stands out to me. And then her fourth album, The Idler Wheel, another long title, just like When the Pawn. The idler wheel is wiser than the driver of the screw, and whipping cords will serve you more than ropes will ever do. This is a great album too. It's kind of darker, even than Extraordinary Machine, a little bit more twisty. I think the artwork sort of symbolizes that. This album, I was so frustrated because I was working in the shop at the time, and it was one of those albums that I'm like, I'm going to buy that. I got to buy that. And then as soon as I decided I was going to get it, the record company decided to stop making it. And I couldn't believe it. And, that was sort of before this store opened. So this was from, 2012. So the year before. And then I went several years without it. And here it is, finally, although I've had a Vinyl Me Please version for a little while. But I'm very glad that these are out for all you guys who didn't get those special versions. They're a little bit cheaper and as far as like the money that you have to lay out. And I'm just obviously excited. Okay, a great new album this week that I'm really into. Emma Anderson, and she's was a member of the band Lush. You might remember them from the 90s if you're into like dream pop and shoegaze and stuff. This is her debut solo album. She has done other things, but this was produced by James Chapman of Maps, it says, and I know that Richard Oakes of Suede plays guitar on 4 songs here. Limited edition on pearly white vinyl with download code. If you liked Lush, check this out because it's really pretty great. And Mickey Berenier went on and formed Parashka, and they've done 2 albums already. But some of these songs were apparently meant to be on that Lush reunion album that never happened because they couldn't get along and they broke up. Which is interesting because, usually when bands say, we're going to get back together, we're putting out records, it's sort of a commitment. I mean, they went out and toured a few dates, and I was fortunate to see one of them, and then no more. No album. Got an EP out of it. So now some reissues. Mata Hoople. This is All the Young Dudes, one of Mott's greatest albums, early album, produced David Bowie. And this is a 2 LP set. The second LP features a bunch of bonus tracks. If you can see that, but One of the Boys, 1980 remix of a 1971 Island recording. Black Scorpio, same thing. Moving on. Yeah, so these are sort of like different versions and some unreleased songs and B-sides. I think this was the era where Bowie sort of stepped in, and they were about to like break up and call it quits, and Ian Hunter was going to go solo or start another band, and Bowie stepped in and said like, you guys are great, let me help you kind of pull things together. And so great album. I actually like the one Mott, which came I think right after, even more than that. But they're both great. They have a few great albums. Boy Genius. Well, this is their 5th anniversary of their debut EP, if you can believe that. It's been a while. Limited edition yellow vinyl, gatefold sleeve with lyrics. This has 6 tracks. Almost spun out of my hands there. All right, and then some jazz reissues. We have Coleman Hawkins with Ben Webster. Encounters Ben Webster. This is on Verve Acoustic Sounds. These always sound really great. And yeah, manufactured at QRP, quality record, mastered from the original analog tapes by top mastering engineers. I wish I would just say who it is, but you know what? I recently got one of these. I might have mentioned that Nina Simone one actually, and it's one of the best sounding records I think I've heard. It's just really their audiophile level. Bill Evans, Conversations with Myself. I think a lot of people really weren't really noticing that. Hello, that this was coming, and this is on Elemental Music. Recording with Glenn Gould's piano at studio sessions on February 6th and 9th in May 20th, 1963. Bill Evans used the method of overdubbing 3 different yet corresponding piano tracks for each of the songs on Conversations with Myself. So interesting. It's sort of like a layered piano thing. On the back, it says a searching look into the genius of Bill Evans. And this is a gatefold. There are so many Bill Evans records that have come out this year. And then Verve by Request. These are the ones that are pressed at Third Man. There's this, Melvin Jackson's Funky Skull. I have not heard this, but it looks fascinating. All right. Cold Duck Time, parts 1 and 2, Funky Do. The last track is called Silver Cycles, almost 10 minutes long. Ma, She's Making Eyes at Me. That's like a minute. Bold and Black. Well, there you go. Some of these records that Third Man are doing are just really interesting. Junior Mance and his swinging piano. And this, what year did this come out? Oh, they're only giving me 2023. I don't know for sure. Smooth One, Miss Jackie's Delight, Love for Sale. I would say this is probably like, I don't know, mid 60s maybe. It's hard to say. It's a nice jumper he's wearing. As they say across the pond. The Quartet of Charlie Parker, Now's the Time. It's another Verve by Request. Let's see, this has Cosmic Rays, Chi-Chi, couple of alternate takes of that. It's the Genius of Charlie Parker #3. If you can read that back, you get an award. I can't read it. Well, I could with a magnifying lens. Max Roach. And this is Max Roach +4, moon-faced and starry-eyed Abby Lincoln sings. Abby Lincoln became Max Roach's wife, and they did some really far out records together, but this one looks like a fairly early one. if there's a date on this. I'm not familiar with this album, but it looks intriguing to me. And I mean, she does have a great voice. And she does Wild as the Wind, which would be done by Nina Simone. Come Rain or Come Shine, Speak Low, I Concentrate on You, Never Leave Me, written by Gordon Jenkins. Very interesting, because usually Max Roach is like kind of swinging, and I don't know, that seems a little more like the romantic side. Lucinda Williams, Car Wheels on a Gravel Road. This album has been out in different configurations, but this is first time. This says first time on vinyl, limited edition yellow LP. Well, lies. It's been on vinyl before, but maybe not in the U.S. It hasn't been pressed here. It was pressed in Europe and then always brought over. So, but this is from 1990, 97. Let's say 98, but close. Great album. Lucinda's fantastic. Another sort of reissue that people I know look for off and on is Hum. You'd Prefer an Astronaut. There's actually, I think, 4 Hum albums that are being reissued, but this is the only one they've sent out so far. And Hum is sort of like a heavier kind of shoegaze type. I believe they're American, maybe. I don't know. I didn't look that up either. You can tell it's like I'm in the post record store day haze where it's like, oh, what more records? This is Mark Lanegan band, Phantom Planet. Well, we lost Mark last year, I believe. Was it? It wasn't this year. I want to say it was last year. This is one of his more recent albums, 2014. I remember when I heard this was great. Mark did a lot of really great solo records towards the end. It's just crazy thinking that he's gone. And this one is one worth checking out. And then there's also Manchester Orchestra, and this record is called The Million Masks of God. And I don't know a whole lot about them. At least I'm honest about it. At least I pronounced the names right, I think. 2021 is when this came out originally. So if you missed that, I think this is a color vinyl pressing, but it doesn't say anything on the cover about it. Some sort of limited edition. Andrew Bird. I love Andrew Bird. And I feel like the more that I listen to Andrew Bird, the more I like him. And this album came out a couple years ago. It's called Inside Problems, I think. And now he just released Outside Problems, which was a instrumental album, and this is more vocal. And he's pretty renowned for his whistling, his violin playing, his arrangements. He was also in the last season of Fargo, the TV show. He played sort of like an Undertaker type. Had like a funeral home, and but he was so great on that show. Really, he was in a awesome kind of family situation, and they were under a lot of pressure from the the gangsters in town or whatever. But great actor too. And then Count Basie Orchestra swings the blues. I think this is sort of a newer recording. Let's see, it says 2023 here. This features George Benson, Shamika Copeland, Robert Cray, Buddy Guy, Betty LaVette, Lettucey, Kev Mo, Charlie Musselwhite, Bobby Rush. So that is maybe worth checking out. And then CD wise, I don't have too much. I've got the new Tate McRae. She was just on Saturday Night Live recently. There's a reissue on CD of Bob James 2, which is kind of nice to see because these are hard to get. Featuring the iconic Take Me to the Mardi Gras, sampled over 400 times by hip-hop artists such as Jay-Z, Run DMC, and more. Includes a special bonus track, Here Let My Life. Includes exclusive new liner notes, so on CD. And then there's a couple of interesting video sort of things. Depeche Mode, Strange and Strange 2. I have VHS tapes of these getting crusty somewhere in a closet or a box. But great videos produced. This was done by Anton Corbin, who did all of U2's visuals at the time. And these were basically music videos to promote these two eras of albums, sort of around The Violator and Music for the Masses. 11 videos restored from original sources and previously unseen outtake vignettes. Features the iconic videos for Never Let Me Down Again, Strange Love, Personal Jesus, and Enjoy the Silence. So if you want a hard copy of that and you don't want to just call it up on YouTube like every other sort of video that just seems to be like meaningless, um, videos that actually mean something other than this one that you're watching, right? Okay, and this pretty interesting. Pink Floyd, Adam Hart Mother. And what this is like a 7-inch size box. And this is the Hakone Aphrodite Japan 1971. So this includes the legendary first show in Japan by Pink Floyd, a 7-inch paper sleeve containing Adam Hart Mother's studio album, film live performance of Adam Hart Mother, and Scott and Watts, which is a Hakone B-roll. Also includes 60-page photo book with unreleased photos, replica of the pamphlet, replica of venue map flyer, replica of Osaka show poster, and the Hakone Aphrodite ticket. It's kind of a nice little package, actually. You can tell that this was probably made with some sort of Japanese oversight. But anyway, it's basically a remastered Adam Hart Mother with a live show and some live video footage as well. It's not too bad for $40, I think. Anyway, for Pink Floyd fans, people who still love the Floyd even after all of the rancor that's gone on this year. So that's kind of going to bring this video to a close. I think I just want to mention, well, I'll be going over some of my favorite albums of 2023 soon. I'm preparing that list, so be looking for that video. There's not too much more new release wise to watch for this year because we only have really 3 weeks left, and 2 of them have hardly anything in them, and 1 is pretty spotty. So you might see a less video from me, but I probably will also be discussing a lot of the new releases that are slated for 2024. Will we get that Cure album finally? I don't know, Robert Smith. I'm looking at you. How about the New Order album, Bernard Sumner? You keep going out on tour and you won't finish your album. Oh boy, it's going to be kind of a rant, I think. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I really appreciate, again, all the kind words about our cat, and we'll just keep pressing forward. She's got an appointment with the vet, and with our vet, not the hospital that charged, I don't know how many thousands of dollars. I don't really even want to think about it, but there went all of the Record Store Day profits, pretty much. Glad we love her so much, and yeah, and then she'll go to a cat cardiologist in a week or 2. That probably won't be cheap either, but you do what you do for your animals when you love your animals. What can I say? What can I say? Thanks, guys. Peace. Have a great weekend, and do something nice for each other, I suppose. That's a nice sentiment, isn't it? Maybe buy them a record. Somebody that you like. I guess it's a holiday coming up. Think about it. Take care. Peace. Bye.